The year is finally nearing its end. It's really been a long one, full of notable events. Long-awaited sequels finally launched after years of delays. Titles thought to be in development hell emerged at last. Earth-shattering announcements garnered millions of views, and even a brand new console launched. Most importantly, it was a year of fantastic quality. From AAA productions to indies, the sheer number of great games almost felt like an embarrassment of riches. The question, as always, remains, which were the very best games? Which reigns on top? What is our choice for Game of the Year 2025? Well, before that, let's first delve into our 10 honorable mentions. Though they received votes, they weren't enough to reach the top 25. That includes big-name sequels like Assassin's Creed Shadows and The Outer Worlds 2. Beat-em-ups like Absolem and Marvel Cosmic Invasion made an impact on genre fans, and even niche titles like Trails in the Sky First Chapter and Shinobi Art of Vengeance received extensive appreciation. The same could be said for Chronos: The New Dawn, one of the more underrated releases of the year and a solid horror entry, and The Altars, an unorthodox but otherwise intriguing sci-fi survival experience. Finally, despite their strong sales, both Elden Ring Night Reign and The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered fell short of qualifying. They're all fun games and totally worth checking out. But without further ado, let's present GamingBolt's top 25 games of the year. Starting with number 25, Dying Light: The Beast. After underwhelming again and again with Dying Light 2 Stay Human, Techland went back to the basics. Once believed dead, Kyle Crane returned in a new, angrier form, and Castor Woods is his playground of destruction for his new beast powers. And while it fell short of being a full-fledged Dying Light 3, the Beast still polished everything the franchise was known for: its smooth parkour, brutal melee combat, and unrelenting nighttime chases against volatiles, to a bloody sheen. Number 24, Hell Is Us. There's a market for games with excessive guidance where you go from one waypoint to the next. But there's also room for efforts like Rogue Points, a semi-open world where you didn't know what to expect in a war-torn region. Every document felt like an essential clue. Becoming familiar with your surroundings became warranted due to the complete lack of maps. Even if it ended somewhat weakly, Hell Is Us offered a solid hack-and-slash combat, devious puzzles, and some truly unique dungeons. Number 23, The First Berserker: Kazan. Believe it or not, revenge is still a strong theme for video games, especially when it fuels the berserker fantasy that is Kazan's. However, The First Berserker opted for a more methodical approach to its rage, with a Souls-like combat system that paired parrying and dodging with weapon combos and special abilities. All of that is packed into a Neo-like exploration structure and sleek anime style that certainly deserves a nod. Number 22, Ninja Gaiden 4. Never has the term bloodbath been more appropriate. Besides Ragebound and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, the franchise made a triumphant return with its fourth mainline entry, incorporating a new protagonist, brand new mechanics, and a long-warranted conclusion to the Dark Dragon story. Despite Ryu Hayabusa playing a supporting role, Ninja Gaiden 4 still shone through with its fast-paced combat, where careful resource management meshed well with the spectacular gory Bloodraven techniques. Number 21, Borderlands 4. Performance woes and Randy Pitchford being, well, Randy Pitchford, Gearbox's looter shooter stood capably on its own merits. Kairos represented a vast open world with some genuinely interesting lore and callbacks. The skill trees were even more diverse than ever, allowing a far wider range of playstyles, once the Vex knife builds got patched, of course. Even the loot felt exciting thanks to the licensed parts system, resulting in a delectable mix of random rolls. Say what you will about the franchise, but considering its history, Borderlands 4 is the best in years. Number 20, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. It's a shame that the allied NPCs received so much attention because, for all intents and purposes, this is a Metroid Prime experience through and through. The genre has evolved significantly since its last Prime entry, and even if it feels outdated in many respects, Beyond encapsulates everything that we love about the formula, from the thrill of learning about Vuros through scans to tense first-person combat that's as seamless as ever. Maybe it isn't the sequel that fans have waited over a decade for, but it is still a solid follow-up. Number 19. Doom: The Dark Ages. Between a dragon mount, a pilotable mech, and a shield saw, id Software was seemingly determined to fill its quota of incredible gameplay mechanics with the Dark Ages. And well, wouldn't you know it, but all of that only scratches the surface, as the parry-focused, flail-swinging, shield-throwing gameplay drew us in without letting go. The Slayer has always been an intimidating character, and this time is no different, but the dark fantasy setting and the scale of the conflict, reflected in some of the more open levels, ensured that this ripping and tearing was one of his best yet. Number 18. Monster Hunter Wilds. If you told me that the successor to Monster Hunter World would be this controversial, I would have thought you were crazy. And yet the core gameplay, with combat the best it's ever been, still shone through. Whether you were a poor knight sword and shield user, a maniac dual blade wielder, or even a mobile tank with the gun lance. With an incredible roster that's only grown over time and far more challenges to embrace, Monster Hunter Wilds is coming into its own. Until then, however, it remains one of the most enjoyable action RPGs on the market. Number 17. Silent Hill F. As much as Bloober Team revitalized the franchise, NeoBards faced a much more challenging task with its entry: carry the legacy forward while trying something new. To say that Silent Hill F exceeded expectations in that regard would be an understatement. Hanako's story isn't just about the other world manifesting her trauma. It's a story of confusing situations. Oh, and it's an excellent survival horror in its own right, with some of the series' most terrifyingly beautiful designs yet. Silent Hill 2 Remake may have introduced a whole new generation to the series' peak, but Silent Hill F proved you can advance it in disturbingly entrancing fashion. Number 16. Battlefield 6. A modern warfare title with grounded visuals and fun action published by Electronic Arts? As it turns out, such a thing is indeed possible, as Battlefield 6 immediately won over audiences at launch. The return of classes, the chaotic atmosphere of vehicles and foot soldiers in open combat, being able to drag away fallen comrades while reviving them, the gunplay. It all just came together to deliver an incredible multiplayer experience that finally toppled Call of Duty. Pretty fitting for a year where the impossible mostly became reality. Number 15. Arc Raiders. Who knew that simply hailing other players and telling them not to shoot could produce such incredible drama? Embark Studios' extraction shooter is polished to a sheen in terms of performance, flow, and more. It doesn't so much as ease you into the genre's brutal workings as give you enough of a bounce back to just try again, thanks to plentiful resources and free kits. But it's oh so satisfying. Each extraction is a notable story in its own right, from impromptu team-ups to slay Ark to a total massacre on Stella Montis. And every time, regardless of the consequences, you can't help but crawl right back in. Number 14. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Remember when Metal Gear, much like Konami's Silent Hill, was thought dead? As a famous Snake once said though, nothing lasts forever, and that includes Metal Gear Solid's exile from the waking world. As a remake meant to introduce newer generations to the series' brilliance, Delta Snake Eater is as faithful as they come. Even with the visual overhaul, new perspective, and quality of life features, this is Naked Snake's journey of fear, pain, fury, sorrow, and ultimately joy in all of its glory. And with how well it turned out, hopefully it's a new beginning for the franchise as a whole. Number 13. Mario Kart World. With over a decade passing since Mario Kart 8's original release, a new title isn't just monumental, it's an event unto itself. Thankfully, Nintendo didn't seek to add a 9 and call it a day, but to expand the formula into new horizons. Thus, we have Mario Kart World, with more players in a race than ever before, bigger tracks, and an open world to explore. However, it's just about hitting up those P-switches or cruising around for secrets. The world aspect adds spicy new intermissions between tracks in a cup, making it feel like a true cross-city race. Throw in some new power-ups, more characters than ever, sweet new traversal tech, and even new modes like Knockout Tour, and you have an excellent kart racing game that's only going to get better with time. Number 12. Inazuma 11 Victory Road. One Steam user described this as the Avengers Endgame of anime soccer, and honestly, if that doesn't even pique your curiosity, then what is life? Announced in 2016 and finally available after numerous delays, Victory Road doesn't just offer a new story with stunning cutscenes from everyone's favorite anime sweatshop, MAPPA. It also includes more than 5,400 characters to recruit, all for the sake of becoming a legend. Much of that will involve training, and, well, more training. And with a roster this large, you'll be spending a lot of time experimenting. But that's just part of the fun, alongside the never say die attitude that the series brings. Number 11. Where Winds Meet. In a world where free-to-play action RPGs are known for anime visuals, gacha mechanics, and greed, Everstone Studio took an altogether different approach. It opted for realistic visuals and delved into the fantasy of wuxia, namely the larger-than-life heroes and epic stories. Instead of selling characters, it offers only one playable character, the one that you create, and power is gained by completing quests, leveling up, or just observing animals and incorporating techniques. The result is a wuxia action RPG where you essentially be who you want. Embrace life as a wanderer, mastering swords, rope darts, spears, and more, or becoming an architect, flexing your building skills. Become an assassin skilled in PvP or control the market, buying low and selling high. Amid all of this is a compelling core narrative, but it's really about creating your own legend. With over 100 hours of enjoyable solo content alone, not to mention robust social features and group activities, Where Winds Meet is a pleasant surprise and one we can see ourselves spending a long time with. Number 10. Split Fiction. Hazelight Studios delivering an incredible co-op experience is the biggest guarantee in this industry, and Split Fiction is a marvel to say the least. The premise feels fairly rote at first. Zoe, a small-town fantasy writer, meets Mio, a metropolitan sci-fi author. Plot twist, they don't exactly get along, but venturing into a simulation that manifests their story ideas into actual worlds and set pieces as the company behind it tries to steal their creativity, well, that's only the first of several twists. Seeking to escape, the two traverse many futuristic and fantastical environments, each wielding different abilities. One chapter sees you racing through a sci-fi city with energy katanas and gravity whips, and another involves raising dragons, who gain new skills as they grow. Each chapter offers unique side stories as well, including venturing out into the emptiness of space. As with Hazelight's previous titles, each level is a unique microcosm of genres and ideas that feels great to control, whether you're shooting, platforming, or puzzle solving. However, Split Fiction's emotional core is unique and heartwarming enough to ensure you'll keep pushing through to the very end. Number 9. Dispatch. There's a reason why Telltale Games' storytelling method went out of fashion. And no, it's not just because of poor management. It's because at the end of the day, you need a compelling narrative with sympathetic characters and gameplay that's more than just reaction. Dispatch accomplishes this in every way, starting with a fantastic premise. Being a dispatcher for a villain-turned-superhero squad, assigning them different crises based on their skills. That's not all there is to Robert Robertson, the former Mecha Man, though. Between introspection into his own legacy and understanding each villain's motivation, there is a story about what it means to be a hero, which in turn reminds us why such narratives remain so appealing. Also, whether it's Aaron Paul as Robert, Laura Bailey as Invisigal, or Travis Willingham as Phenomenon, the performances are top tier. Dispatch honestly probably has no business being as good as it is, much less taking an episodic approach in this day and age. If nothing else, it reminds us, anyone can be a hero. Your past does not define you, and the Telltale method can still produce some magic. Number 8. Kingdom Come: Deliverance II. From a lazy son of a blacksmith in an unassuming village to a full-fledged knight partaking in proper skirmishes, Henry and players have come a long way in this story. And even if the prospect of earning his way back up to usable equipment and weapons in the beginning feels like a stretch, it's both an encapsulation of the world of Kingdom Come: Deliverance and its gameplay appeal. It's grounded, realistic, at times unforgiving, but if you know how to abide by its rules, you can be anything. That philosophy extends beyond simply following a set way of life for Henry, whether it's a hunter-gatherer or a master blacksmith. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2 is a feast of incredible stories backed by fantastic immersive gameplay. Whether you're sticking to the worn path, learning about and possibly sympathizing with the humans, or venturing off in search of dragon bones. It's a world that's equal parts hostile and inviting, where every decision, from your dress to your method of addressing individuals, carries weight. If you can truly embrace the friction, then this is one of the best RPGs of the year, and many others. Number 7. Hollow Knight: Silksong. It's still funny how after years of rabid fans demanding details, a release date, well, anything, Team Cherry was disconnected from it all, designing the follow-up to one of the greatest games of all time. When it was dated, several other titles instinctively moved away. There were few events more hyped in the games industry than this one, and seeing it crash almost every single online store was cathartic in a way. But Silksong, the game, is more than just the hype. It's more than just a side-scroller with elegant movement and responsive combat in a kingdom that's as lovingly detailed and full of life as it is swarming with nasties of the bug variety and otherwise. It's a treatise on environmental storytelling as much as it introduces lovable characters who you want to see thrive. And yes, it is challenging, painfully so at times. It's figuring out how to get around that, leveraging your skills to perform beyond what you thought was possible, until the next boss beats you down and the process then repeats. I don't have to mention the excellent art direction, soundtrack, and level design because all of those speak for themselves. But Silksong at its core is a triumph of design and the genre as a whole. Number 6. Blueprints. I first heard about Dogubomb's Puzzler through Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. Ordinarily, a range of reviews, especially for an unknown game like this, would be perused, but he insisted. This is an experience unlike anything else out there, and a damn good one at that. So I delved into Mount Holly's Manor in pursuit of the mythical Room 46, and quickly realized that Blueprints is one of the most quietly brilliant games ever created. Now, we've all seen roguelikes, but a roguelite puzzler, where you map out the layout of the environment from a selection of rooms before traversing them, where you create floor plans to net more resources, be it additional steps or currency to purchase tools, or experiment with different setups to plunder the manor of its secrets. Reaching Room 46 is only just the teaser though. You have many miles to go before everything is fully revealed. In a year of bombastic titles with immense budgets, Blueprints is understated, meticulous, and most importantly, unforgettable, forcing you to think beyond bounds for the biggest reward of all, satisfying your curiosity. Number 5. Hades 2. Supergiant's sequel didn't have to aspire to much. Many people consider the first game just about perfect or near enough. What else was there to do but build upon it, much less introduce new gameplay mechanics? Hades 2 did both of those things, but it ventured even further, expanding the bonding elements, introducing farming, resource gathering and pets, and even revamping movement and combat for more build variety. As much as the ending didn't hit for some, which has since been rectified, the cycle of mastery and understanding, of knowing which boons to use and how to leverage each weapon best, together with phenomenal visuals, music, and voice acting, still earn it a place in the roguelike genre. Number 4. Ghost of Yotei. And instead of dying of the heat, the sadness, the heartache, she took all of her pain and from her own ashes became fire, said poet Nikita Gill, and it's certainly fitting for Atsu's journey of revenge. How she went from a mild-mannered girl into a cold-blooded killing machine, scouring Etso for the ones who killed her family. However, you could also view it as her becoming a phoenix, rising from the ashes and viewing life from a new perspective, embracing Etso and its culture, discovering its various gorgeous reaches, while feeding her desire for revenge. Remembering the good times and the bad while making new memories and learning that maybe life is worth living despite everything. It's certainly more than the revenge bad labels that many have placed on this title. Of course, from a gameplay perspective, Ghost of Yotei is leaps and bounds above its predecessor, not to mention others in its genre. Your exploration of Etso is organic, dotted with unique tales and random encounters as you map out the region and hunt the Yote 6, mastering different weapons, gathering allies, and ultimately delving into the Ainu culture. It's an audio-visual tour de force, an experience to get lost in, bloody conflict and all. Number 3. Clair Obscur. Years ago, way before it was even properly fleshed out, a few developers had this idea for an RPG, born from little more than messing around in Unreal Engine. Much like the world of Clair Obscur, it grew over time, shaped and molded by an incredible enthusiasm. This year, it was finally released and took the world by storm. The journey of the titular expedition, as they venture to slay the Paintress, always felt a bit whimsical, despite the initial brutality in the opening hour. It was one full of joyous figures from the Gestrels to Esquier, yet dotted with overwhelmingly powerful Nevrons. There were plot twists we did not see coming, moments that hit far too close to home, and even then, everything turned upside down. To say that it was a heady ride throughout would be an understatement, especially with such incredible writing, art direction, performances, and of course, the music. If we're talking about incredible turn-based RPGs, then Clair Obscur is another fantastic addition to that lineup. But when it comes to magical experiences that you won't forget anytime soon, it's an unprecedented masterpiece. Number 2. Donkey Kong Bonanza. All these years later, who could have guessed that the Super Mario Odyssey team were cooking like this? That too on a new 3D platformer starring Donkey Kong, which would eventually serve as a flagship title for the Switch 2 in its launch year. Well, totally awesome. And yet, there's just this pure, unmitigated joy in Bonanza's gameplay. Where Mario found elegant solutions past his obstacles, DK takes a more straightforward approach. Smash it to bits. You would think this gets boring, but tearing through your environment, collecting gold by the hundreds, and then surfing on rock chunks, among other things, quickly becomes addictive. But Bonanza is more than that. It's more than the various forms that add new wrinkles to its sublime platforming, and such intriguing sights as Zebra Kong and Ostrich Kong, or gorgeous environments that just become more involving as you delve deeper, or even a clever spin on the famous Jumpman dynamic. This is a celebration of the character and his history, packed into a clever collectathon that lets you ape out and forego it entirely for the sake of fun. Even among heavy hitters like Mario Kart World and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Donkey Kong Bonanza cements its presence as the Switch 2 exclusive to play and a must-play title. And without further ado, GamingBolt's Game of the Year 2025 goes to Death Stranding 2 on the Beach. Even with such a star-studded cast and stellar production values, the first Death Stranding was understandably divisive for some. Yet its appeal only grew over time, enough to make you wonder what Kojima Productions could offer in a sequel. Well, the answer? More. More ways to sneak around, more tools to fight enemies, more places to explore. And if the courier life is for you, then above all else, more options for that optimal delivery. Improvements abound everywhere, with regions like Australia and Mexico feeling more alive. Whether handling requests in the field, exploring different biomes, or simply surviving against dust storms and flash floods. Yet amid it all stood the desire from director Hideo Kojima to create a worthwhile journey for players. Sam would work alongside old and new friends, tackling familiar threats and ultimately reconciling with his past in more ways than one. However, it was a different vibe. Tragic in many ways, mysterious in many others, but ultimately reinforcing the connections made along the way. Director Hideo Kojima didn't shy away from injecting his own straight-laced weirdness into the twists and turns, and yet they felt appropriate, confident, but still emotionally resonant. For providing another incredible odyssey across this post-apocalyptic world, for reconnecting and reconciling those that we care about, and for paving a new way forward, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is our Game of the Year for 2025. As noted in the beginning, it's been a long year. Sometimes the good is overridden by the bad, whether it's layoffs, studio closures, canceled projects, or controversial allegations. But you've been with us through it all, celebrating the games that felt too good to be true, and thankfully they weren't. Embracing new IPs, probably crying over the odd delay or two, and don't worry, we're not going to tell anyone. It's been one heck of a ride, but it wouldn't have been anywhere near as enjoyable without you. So thanks for joining us throughout 2025. Here's to another year of gaming and even more unforgettable experiences. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.